Kim Zolciak and Kroy Biermann call off divorce again. Get ready for another twist. Kim Zolciak and Kroy Biermann have once again reversed course in their ongoing marital journey, just days after Kim raised concerns about Kroy's behavior on reality television personalities surprised many by discontinue. Their divorce proceedings are Kim Zolciak and Kroy Biermann still planning to divorce? Not at the moment. Reports indicate that Kim and Kroy filed to dismiss their case on February 21, closing the chapter on their second attempt to separate. Despite some intense claims earlier that same week, the couple informed the court they are no longer pursuing a divorce. Kim had filed paperwork on February 18 expressing her belief that Kroy might be experiencing issues potentially related to the head trauma from his time in the NFL. She described him as prone to anger and emotional outbursts and also requested an evaluation. In the filing, Kim stated concerns for the children's well-being if they remained unsupervised with him left untreated. Mother is gravely concerned about the children's best interests when left in the care of father, the court document stated. But just 3 days later, newly revealed documents show they dropped the divorce. This reversal occurred while the two continued to reside in the same home. The property had already been sold at auction in December 2024 due to foreclosure by April 2025. Reports indicated that Kim and Kroy were removed from the house the new owners had filed for eviction, and deputies arrived to confirm the couple's ejection from the property. Meanwhile, Kim's daughter Ariana Biermann has been discussing further family matters on Bravo's Next GGNIC. The 23-year-old stated that her parents used money she earned as a minor without her knowledge, even claiming they used her own funds to purchase her Christmas presents. For those following, Kim and Kroy has initiated divorce proceedings. 3 times, so will they ever finalize it? For now it doesn't appear so.
Given their history,
However, a future attempt to separate could easily arise. The perpetual pendulum, a family saga. The mansion had once been their fortress, their kingdom. Now it was a ghost. Every creak of the floorboards, with every draft that whispered through a closed window, seemed to mock their lingering presence. The opulence felt like a cruel joke. The indoor pool, once a vibrant hub of children's laughter, was still its azure depths reflecting a sky that offered no answers. Kim often walked through the empty rooms, tracing the outlines of phantom furniture, recalling the lavish parties, the camera crews, the endless stream of stylists and producers. That life, so loud and vibrant, had faded, replaced by an unnerving silence, punctuated the stillness after the storm. Or so it seemed. The grand iron gates, once a symbol of ostentatious prosperity, now hung slightly askew, a silent testament to neglect. Inside, the sprawling mansion, designed for grandeur and opulence, felt like a mausoleum of dust. Models danced in the slivers of sunlight that pierced the drawn curtains, illuminating the suspended animation of a life lived too loudly, now whispering its final breaths. Kimberly sat on a silk-covered chaise lounge, her phone clutched in a manicured hand, not scrolling social media, but simply staring at the black screen. The news had broken just hours ago. The divorce was off again. The collective gasp from the tension had been almost palpable, a familiar chorus of disbelief that had become the soundtrack to her life with Kroy. It was February 21st, and the ink on the dismissal papers were barely dry. Just 3 days prior, she had filed a searing accusation against her husband, a man she had once adored, accusing him of a litany of terrifying behaviors, even suggesting chronic traumatic encephalopathy, the insidious brain disease that shadowed former athletes. Kroy, meanwhile, was in the kitchen, the clatter of a panicking through the cavernous space. He was making eggs, a mundane act that felt shockingly out of place. Wreckage that perpetually clung to their lives like Georgia humidity. The air between them was thick, with unsaid words, resentment, and a fragile, desperate hope that perhaps this time, truly, the pendulum would settle. But Kim knew better. The pendulum always swung back. Their second attempt to sever ties had been the most explosive yet. The claims she'd made in court, angry and emotional outbursts, physical violence, extreme sexual promiscuity, a chilling concern for her. Children's safety under his care had been splashed across every entertainment blog the world had seen, the raw, unvarnished fear she claimed to feel only for her to pull back the curtain on the drama just as swiftly. The whiplash was not just for the public. It was for her too, caught in the centrifugal force of their own making. They still shared the house, a sprawling, echoing monument to a life they could no longer afford. The December foreclosure auction had been a quiet, brutal nail in the coffin of their financial fantasy, yet here they were living under the same roof, two souls tethered by children history and a peculiar destructive magnetism. They couldn't seem to shake the eggs. Sizzled a small, defiant sound. In the quiet house, the mansions ghostly by their children's cautious movements and their own escalating whispers and shouts. Kroy, once the stoic protective figure, now seemed perpetually on edge. His eyes, once warm and deep, often held a distant, clouded look. Kim's accusations of CTE weren't entirely unfounded in her mind. She'd seen the subtle shifts, the increasingly short fuse, unpredictable swings from melancholic quiet to explosive rage. He would pace the hallways, sometimes muttering to himself, sometimes slamming a door, then moments later appear calm as if nothing had happened. It was this jackal and high transformation that truly terrified her, not for herself. She was a veteran of their emotional battlefield, but for the kids. Are you going to eat these or just stare at them? Kroy Kim's casualness cut through the kitchen's quiet. He flinched, turning from the stove. They're not done yet. Kim, his tone was flat, devoid of the usual tension, which was almost more unsettling. Right, she muttered, walking to the oversized island, running a finger through an imperceptible layer of dust. Because everything in this house just waits for us, doesn't it? The bank, new owners, the kids, everyone just waiting for us to figure out whether are we coming or going? Kroy said nothing, flipping the eggs with a practiced hand. He was still physically imposing, but the athletic grace had been replaced by a subtle stiffness, a weariness that seeped into his every movement. He was a man, drift in his own home, the structure of his football career long gone, replaced by the chaotic freefall of his personal life. The eviction papers are coming to you. You know, Kim continued, her voice softer now, almost pleading, we can't just pretend this isn't happening. This isn't a game, Kroy. This isn't a reality show where we can just edit out the hard parts. He looked at her, his eyes meeting hers for a fleeting second. A flicker of something, despair, defiance, exhaustion crossed his face before it shuddered. No, Kim, I'm working on it. Working on what she wanted to scream, working on packing, working on finding a new place, or working on another reason to stay stuck in this nightmare. But she held her tongue. The cycle was too familiar. A fight, a threat of divorce in public spectacle. Then the quiet, desperate retreat, a temporary truce born of exhaustion and the terrifying uncertainty of truly being alone. Ariana's unfurling truth away from the stifling atmosphere of the mansion, in a tiny, overpriced apartment in a bustling city. Ariana Biermann found a different kind of suffocation. She was 23, ostensibly an adult, but still felt like a pawn in her parents' perpetual game of emotional chess. The silence of her own space, far from the constant traumatic soundtrack of her childhood, a blessing and a curse. It allowed her to think, to process, and to finally feel the full weight of a betrayal she had long suppressed. The bright lights of the Bravo's next GNI set felt like a confessional. She sat on a plush sofa, cameras rolling, the producer's question probing, and something inside her, a dam she built it brick by brick over years, finally broke. It wasn't just the house or the divorces, Ariana began, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. It was everything. The money, my money. She recounted the sting of discovery, slow dawning realization that the earnings from her own childhood ventures, endorsements, appearances, even that brief, ill-fated music career had vanished. Not simply managed, but spent. They took it, she said, her voice rising slightly. All of it. Money I earned as a minor. Money that was supposed to be for my future. And the worst part, a bitter laugh, escaped her. They used my own money to buy me Christmas presents, like, here, honey, a gift from us. And I'm like, that's literally my paycheck. The memory still burned. It wasn't just the financial aspect, it was the psychological toll. The feeling of being used, of having her trust so carelessly discarded by the two people who were supposed to protect her. Her parents were always so focused on their own drama, had seemed oblivious to the quiet devastation they wrought on their children.